يا الله يا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا متقبلا يا أرحم الراحمين. All praise and thanks be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has helped us to be concerned with learning the Quran and memorizing the Quran and improving our recitation of the Quran. So inshallah we will start this new and final cycle of explaining Aljazariyya after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us to explain all of it. We will do this one more time inshallah for the sake of completing the verses that we did not explain completely or we did not record. And I hope inshallah you take notes, and I will be assigning every class, I will be assigning it to one of the students so that you make it in Google Documents presentation. Google Documents they call it, right?
Google Drive.
Huh?
Google
Slides. Google Slides.
Yeah.
Google Slides. So this is extremely important for you when you do the slides. You're reviewing and you're preparing them. But you should not miss any main information. Okay, which is related to the tajweed. Like if I mention as usual, I go out of the topic, right? So I go talk about hadith or something. So that you don't have to include in the slide, but everything related to tajweed, you have to include it in the slides, okay? And every class, as usual, I will send you the Word file that I'm working on, but many times it's just Arabic, but sometimes there are pictures, sometimes there's some English, so you need to take this with your notes, and maybe if we upload the video right away, you can use all of those three things to come up with the Google Slides for that class. When you do this, you have to send it to me maximum Thursday evening, maximum. Yes, this is homework. When I assign it to you, this is homework. You have to do it maximum Thursday. If you're generous and you're a good student, you do it same day. You do it same day. If you do it same day, that's the easiest. You know why easiest? Because you've just got the information, you just go home, or in the evening you do it. If you leave it one day, it will be more difficult. 2 days, more difficult. 3 days, more. If you leave it until Thursday, maybe you will not know what to write. Maybe then you will go to Google and you just copy paste from here and there. Then we come, I see it, and you know. Then I will send you that email, you know. So please try to do it as soon as possible, so that also your brothers and sisters, they can also review it, okay? And so that I have a chance to edit it, okay? So you share it with me, you start a new Google Slides file, then you share it with me, then I edit it, then I share it with all of the group, okay? This poem, Aljazariyya, is the main poem in the science of tajweed in one qira'ah. In one qira'ah. And as we know, we have more than one qira'ah of the Quran. We have more than one qira'ah. We have 10 qira'at. How many? 10 qira'at of the Quran. And we will, maybe at one point, we'll talk about the qira'at. And basically, we explained everything. This is just like review, and maybe we will add few things. So qira'ah, I will suppose that you did not learn anything before in this field. So qira'at of the Quran, we have more than one qira'ah. Al-Jazariyya is the main poem in the qira'ah of Hafs. Okay, in the qira'ah of Hafs, or the narration of Hafs and Asim. We should not say the qira'ah of Hafs, we say riwayah of Hafs. But we say qira'ah of Asim. Okay? Okay. This is why many sheikhs in Syria and other countries, when they want to give an ijazah to someone, they make it a condition that this student has to memorize Aljazariyya, which is how many verses?
100 something. 14.
Come on, you attended most,
707.
so you should not forget the number because you attended it, right? So 107 verses. 107 verses is the number of the verses of Aljazariyya. So those scholars, they make it as a condition that the student who wants to get an ijazah in the Quran has to know it by heart with understanding it. And one of those sheikhs who put this such a condition is Sheikh Ayman Suwaid. Okay? And if you see the video I made on the ijazah that Allah blessed me with, I put an example from Sheikh Ayman Suwaid how he was given an ijazah to someone in France, and he was mentioning that this person read the whole Quran to me, etc., and he read Aljazariyya and he understood it. And I translated that part so that you guys see that I'm not like bringing this from my own mind. And why is this? Because this is the simplest, as the name indicates. The name of this poem is what? The name of this poem, the whole name is what?
Al-Jazariyya.
وبعد إن هذه مقدمة. So what's the name of this poem? منظومة المقدمة. I want you to put the camera close to you. Just when we move to the screen, you just move to the screen. Since you're not having your notebook, it seems you're just relaxing this time.
I forgot.
Okay. Get a pen and a paper if you like. So, as you see on the screen, the name of this poem is Al-Muqaddima. And Muqaddima in Arabic means what? So every time we'll give this mission to someone.
Yeah.
No, put it next to you. Or put a chair here if you're not getting it.
I'm comfortable.
So, Al-Muqaddima means what? Introduction. So why introduction? 107 verses introduction? Yes, because this is only about Hafs. Okay? Now if you want to get to the bigger thing, yes, you can go to Tayyibatun Nashr, which 1013 almost verses. Or Shatibiyya, 1173 verses. Right? So this is what Muqaddimah, introduction. Okay? So, why the scholars they chose this poem? Many scholars, because it also almost encompasses all of the main rules of tajweed, and many of the rules of tajweed, they are common in all of the qira'at, right? Then some qira'at have some special rules. You have to understand this poem and know the meanings of this poem, so that when you are certified, you can teach others and you can correct the mistakes of others, so that you are able to certify them, right? But if someone just gets an ijazah and just sits home and he hangs it on the wall and sits home and do something else, he goes to whatever school and he just does something else, then why you spent all this time? Why your parents put all those thousands of dollars and you put those hours so that you sit and you don't teach? No, you have to teach. خيركم من تعلم القرآن ونام. Right? خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. Right? خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. The best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it to others. So if you don't teach, you spent years and years in learning, you don't put some time for teaching, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you. Okay. Tajweed is, in simple words, is to recite the Quran as it was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's very simple. So tajweed is not something like additional to the Quran. Tajweed is to read the Quran correctly. That's tajweed. It's not something superficial, something additional, something extra, something that was added to the Quran by some scholars, and really it's very painful when you read some fatwas of some so-called big muftis or sheikhs here or there, They say, no, it's not necessary that you learn ikhfa and idgham and qalb and these rules. It's not necessary. When we do something that is new, they wage a war against us. They say, you're making bid'ah. This is something the Prophet didn't do. You're making bid'ah. This is innovation. But when they claim that, no, it's not necessary you read the Quran with these rules, that's not bid'ah, that's sunnah. That's misunderstanding. So we have to recite the Quran as it was revealed to our beloved sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And that is called tajweed. To recite the Quran correctly, this means to recite it with tajweed. Tamam? Now, where did the scholars take these rules? So, where the tajweed rules, they were present or they were applied in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam?
Yes.
Of course, there was not Quran with tajweed and Quran without tajweed, as now we hear some students or some sheikhs, right? Some teachers, he tells the student, Yalla, now skip, you don't have to make the mad, Yalla, we don't have time. Yalla, don't make this ghurna very long. Yalla, we have no time. Right? Well, what are you? Is this your father's book or Allah's book? This is Allah's book. It's not. You cannot change from your own mind. Someone might say, "Oh no, there is a qira'ah, there is a riwayah that you can shorten the mad." Well, you have to teach. If you learned this qira'ah first from a sheikh, then you can teach it, but you don't teach him only part of that qira'ah, which is just shortening the mad. No, you have to teach him all of that qira'ah, right? How many points I sent you when I gave you the option to read with qasr, with shortening the mad? Approximately 12. You remember the differences that I sent you? Almost 13 differences, right? In order to shorten the mad, in Hafs, for example, you have to observe about 12 differences, 12 places where you should read those words in certain way, or you cannot read it in certain way. So it's not just this qira'ah, you can read it with shortening the mad or not shortening the mad. Then everything else is the same. No. So we have to do our best to recite the Quran according to tajweed. And tajweed means the way Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam read. And how do we get this way? How do we know it? How do you know he read this way? How do we know? By learning from those sheikhs who are connected with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam through a chain of sheikhs, sheikh to sheikh to sheikh to sheikh, right? And this is why you are here. This is why you're seeking an ijazah, because you want to be connected to that noble chain of those great scholars, excluding me. I'm not a scholar. So you want to be connected to them, right? Why? Because they do not certify anyone unless he reaches a level where they feel that he's just reading like them. You see? This is why they made those conditions. But unfortunately nowadays we find many people, they're just taking it easy. They're just someone over Skype, mashallah, over Skype, you can get an ijazah. I don't know the pricing, but it's not expensive, yani. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. This is a disaster. This is a disaster in this field. This is why, unfortunately, you see someone getting an ijazah and he has mistakes in Fatiha. So we should not be deceived by nowadays ijazahs. This is why even I was in one of the schools and I used to evaluate teachers. So a teacher came, he has an ijazah from Egypt. But he doesn't know some basic rules, he did not know. So unfortunately, the value of the ijazah is not as before. And this is why I put these conditions, because we want to bring back the glory to this certificate, which is greater than a PhD, greater than any ijazah, is to be connected Greater than any certificate is to have Quran certificate that connects you with the greatest of people. So these rules that we will be learning, inshaAllah, they were applied by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they were transmitted to us from his Sahaba and the Tabi'een all the way until it reached us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings. So how those scholars put these rules? They looked at those Qurra who are certified and connected. They looked at their recitation. They noticed, for example, the Qari, he's saying Mim Ba'd. When you find Min Ba'd, Mim Noon, right? Mim Ba'd. So they're reading and they're watching the Qari, they're watching. So they notice the Qari is saying Mim Ba'd. Mim, this is Mim, there's no Mim here. So when they noticed that this rule is being applied in all of the Quran, they said, okay, many people now, in that time, they started accepting Islam. Many of them are non-Arabs, so they started making mistakes in reciting the Quran. So when they see this, they say min ba'd, for example. When they see this word, for example, they say Ar-Rahman. They say Ar-Rahman. So the scholars were very afraid that if we leave people read and we don't put like rules for them to learn the correct reading, then the Quran will be changed and people will be reading different Quran, as some people do now, unconsciously or unknowingly. So this is why the scholars, they put those rules, and they took those rules from where, Ya Ibrahim? From watching the certified reciters who were connected through a chain of reciters to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they took those rules and they put them down in books so that people start learning those rules so that they read the Quran correctly. Is this clear? So this is where the science of tajweed came. So the scholars here, for example, they said, well, whenever you have noon with sukoon followed by ba, what do? You change the noon into mim. Okay, let's call this rule, let's call it qalb. Someone else said, no, let's call it iqlab. Okay, don't fight, no problem. Call it whatever you like. So these names were not in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, but were they applying them? Of course. So these divisions and these terms were not there in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, but is it necessary to make those terms and make those rules? Of course it's necessary. This is bid'ah wajiba, this is mandatory bid'ah. Right? Have you ever heard mandatory bid'ah? Except from me. Mandatory bid'ah, right? This is mandatory innovation that you have to, the scholars had to do it. They had to do it to preserve the Quran, right? Otherwise, you will find people making mistakes. They came to this word, Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahman, someone is saying Ar-Rahman. Non-Arabs and also some Arabs who might be far from learning or from the places of learning. Some Arabs, they say until this moment, some Arabs, so it's not only about non-Arabs. No, also some Arabs, if they're not learning, they will make mistakes. In my country, in Syria, some Arabs, some Syrians, they say وَلَضَّالِّينَ. They say وَلَضَّالِّينَ. They say, for example, وَالضَّفَادِعَ. What do they say? وَالضَّفَادِعَ. And this is what we say in our slang. In our slang, we say ضُفْدَعَ, ضَفَادِعَ, ضَفَا, va. In Arabic, we don't have va. Do we have va? In Urdu, you have va, right? V. But in Arabic, we don't have v. We have f, the fa, right? So, this is why the scholars, they specified the makharij of the Arabic letters. They said, this letter is ha, ah. It comes from the middle part of the throat. How? By moving the epiglottis back, right?
Back of the wall. No.
To the wall of the throat without
Touching.
touching. In the ayn you move it even more, but also without touching. So nah. So they mentioned this voice, they write down so that people pronounce it. Still, even if you learn this is how the ha is pronounced, then still you have to get it from a sheikh so that he hears the sound, right? Okay, so this is how the science of tajweed came as new terms, new rulings. This is how the scholars put it down. But in practice, it was already there. Example, what's the ruling of, for example, wearing gold for men in the Hanafi school? They say it's makruh tahriman. Well, if you live in the time of the Sahaba and you say to one of them, this is makruh tahriman, none of the Sahaba will know what you mean, or none of them they will know this term. Not because they have no knowledge. No, they have knowledge better than you and better than everyone else. But they use different terms, right? They said, okay, this is haram, for example. So in every science, the Sahaba, they knew gold is haram for men and silk. They knew this very well. But they used to say haram. Now also some schools they say haram, some schools they tell you this is makruh tahrima. Well, why makruh tahrima? You need to learn, this is different class, right? What class is this? Fiqh. In fiqh class you learn this. So, the terms and their names doesn't matter. What matters is the content, right? So the content of tajweed absolutely was there. Then the scholars of Islam, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them, those sciences, they wrote them in poetry. They wrote those sciences in poetry. They made them in poems, or in nadhm, or in mutun. Remember? Mutun, plural of matn. Plural of matn. So for example, they say this is matn Aljazariyya. They say this is matn Jawharat al-Tawheed, matn al-Rahbiyya, matn al-Ajrumiyya. So in every science, one of the scholars one or more, they come to the rules of this science, they put it in what? Poetry. Why? Why?
They put in poetry to make it.
Why?
To make it easier for them.
Make it easier for students.
Common person.
Because poetry can be sung, right? Can be sung, right? يقول راجي عفو رب سامعي محمد بن الجزري الشافعي الحمد لله. So you remember, you can sing it. You will remember, easy to memorize, right? This is why they put it in poems. It's not like for entertainment. No, they had no time for entertainment, as we will see now. Imam Ibn al-Jazari writing a poem of more than 300 verses when he was going to Hajj. A poem of more than 300 verses, which included the 3 qira'at, which complements the 7 qira'at of the 10 major qira'at, right? As we will see now. So they did not do this for entertainment. They made these poems so that they make it easy for the students of the Quran and the other sciences, so that they memorize it quick and they can recall it quick, right? They can recall the rule quick when they learn those rulings. Now if I tell you, when is the ra light? If you know Aljazariyya right away, you tell me وَرَقِّقِ الراء إِذَا مَا كُسِرَتْ كَذَاكَ بَعْدَ الْكَسْرِ حَيْثُ سَكَنَتْ إِن لَمْ تَكُنْ مِنْ قَبْلِ حَرْفِ اسْتِعْلَى أَوْ كَانَتِ الْكَسْرَةُ لَيْسَتْ أَصْلًا, right? والخلف في فرق لكسر يوجد, right? So to make it easier and to also make it easier to recall the rules, to remember the rules, easier to learn, easier to recall. Two different things, right? Two different things. When you memorize it quick, when you learn it and memorize it, then you can recall it quickly. This is one of those poems, for example, Aljazariyya. in the science of Tajweed by Imam Ibn Aljazariyya rahimahullah. We have Jawharat al-Tawheed in the science of Aqidah by Imam al-Laqani, explained by Imam al-Bajuri. We have al-Rahbiyya, this is in the science of inheritance. We have al-Ajrumiyya in the science of syntax, Nahu. We have al-Alfiyya for Ibn Malik, more than 1,000 verses in the science of Nahu. We have Shatibiyya in the 7 qira'at by Imam Shatibi, right? Etc. In logic, in the science of logic, we also have Sullam al-Usul, for example, or As-Sullam al-Munawra, or whatever. So there are, in every science, there is more than one poem. Then, some people, of course, they will not understand the poem. So, other scholars, what will they do? They will make an explanation to the poem, right? So that the students learn the poem, then they learn the explanation. Is this clear? Manzuma means what? First word you have to learn. Can you see?
Yeah.
All the time it was there and I was talking.
I put it there before. Right?
Okay.
So
manzuma means what?
poem.
Poem. From nadama. Nadama means that he wrote poetry. Okay? So manzuma from nadama. Nadama means he made poetry or he wrote something in poetry. Also they say nazm. Nazm means also poem or writing a poem. Okay, al-muqaddimah, we said this means what? Al-muqaddimah means what? The introduction. But the word al-muqaddimah, there's something wrong here, right? What is it? The ta should have what? Huh?
Dot.
Should have dots, right? Okay. Let's put dots for the ta. How we put dots for the ta? Okay. So, al-muqaddimah means what? The introduction. Manzumat al-muqaddimah. Why it's muqaddimah, ya Shaykh? Why it's muqaddimah? Oh, there is an easier way. Huh? So, I'm doing something here so that you see. If you needed to change some pictures, I know you have better programs, but this is very simple, very easy. Okay? So you just take this from here, copy it here, you paste it here. Okay. Tamam? Okay. Al-Muqaddimah means what, ya Shaykh Isa? Introduction. Okay. Bismillah. فيما المقدمة, the introduction. فيما على قارئ القرآن أن يعلم. فيما يجب على قارئ القرآن أن يعلم, or فيما على قارئ القرآن أن يعلم. المقدمة in what? منظومة المقدمة فيما يجب. Can you see all? All of you can see?
Yes.
فيما يجب in what على قارئ القرآن أن يعلم. In what the reciter of the Quran has to learn. فيما يجب على قارئ القرآن أن يعلمه. In the thing that the reciter of the Quran has to know. You see what he said? Has to know. So from this word, from the title of the poem, what can you learn? That the reciter of the Quran has to learn this science. Whether you want ijazah or don't want ijazah, whether you have to learn how to recite the Quran correctly, right? And we will come to this in details when we talk about what is the ruling of learning tajweed. Is it mandatory or preferable or extra permissible or just what is it, or mubah or makruh? من نظم. Is this clear so far? فيما يجب على قارئ القرآن أن يعلمه. Today I'm gonna tolerate those who are not writing. Next time I will never tolerate.
Sheikh really covered this.
Everyone has to write, and when you write, even if you already know, first of all, you will not fall asleep. Second of all, I might give something new, right? Who knows? Okay? And when you write, that will help you to remember. But if you just like this, you're losing one of your capabilities, or you're not utilizing all of the capabilities Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. Okay? من نظم إمام الحفاظ. من نظم, from the writing of, means compose, from the composition of. Okay, I'm telling you literally, from the composition of means composed by the Imam of the Huffaz. The Huffaz, those who memorize the Quran and they reach a high level and they learn the Qira'at and they taught the Qira'at, etc. من نظم إمام الحفاظ.
Who's saying this part right here?
No, this is the cover of the.
Somebody else wrote.
This is the cover. This is what Sheikh Ayman wrote.
Okay, Sheikh Ayman.
Okay, this is the cover of the poem.
Okay.
So when I saw some students reading the poem to Sheikh Ayman, this is what they start. They say منظومة المقدمة فيما يجب على قارئ القرآن أن يعلمه من نظم إمام الحفاظ وحجة القراء محمد بن محمد بن محمد ابن محمد ابن علي ابن يوسف المعروف بابن الجزري رحمه الله تعالى. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. or بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يقول راجي عفو رب سامعي محمد بن الجزري الشافعي, and you start the poem, right? So من نظم إمام الحفاظ وحجة القراء محمد بن علي ابن يوسف. I said Muhammad, it should be Muhammadi. Anyway, so إمام الحفاظ, we got it. حجة القراء. حجة لئلا يكون للناس على الله حجة بعد الرسل. حجة means proof. حجة means proof, evidence. This is one meaning. Also حجة means that when we say this person is حجة in the science of Nahu, he's حجة in the science of قراءات, means what?
Hujjatul Islam.
Means what? Hujjat Islam different. Hujjah means what? He's an authority. Right? They say this person is an authority. He's a reference in this science.
Can you say Hujjatul Islam?
Right? Hujjatul Islam has a different meaning, which means like he has great proofs to prove Islam. Like when you meet him and learn from him, that you can see the great proofs of Islam that prove to you that Islam is right. This is one of the meanings that I understand from this term. But Hujjatul Qurra means he's an authority among the Qurra. Clear? He's an authority among the Qurra. He's the reference of the Qurra. Right? He offers the Qurra the great proofs of the rulings of this science. Tamam? Muhammad ibn Ali ibn Yusuf. So his father and grandfather, all of them, their names are Muhammad. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Ibn al-Jazari, rahimahullah ta'ala. When was he born? 751 of the Hijrah. How many years ago?
700 something. 700 something years.
Less than 700.
Oh yeah.
Okay. 680 approximately, or 90. He passed away 833 of the Hijrah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now we'll come to the details about his life and his name, of course. First, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is what? This is the Basmalah. This is not part of the poem, of course. This is before the poem. And we are urged and recommended to start all of our actions by the name of Allah, or by remembering Allah, by praising and thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? This is agreed upon by the scholars. That when you do anything good, before you start with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Look at the word bism. Originally it is like this, right? Why? Because it is composed of two words. The first thing is the letter B, which is a preposition. Then what? Then the word ism, right? So it should be like this, bism. We write it like this. What Hamza is this, yeah, guys? We covered this many times.
Hamzatul wasl.
Hamzat wasl, right? And this is why we don't say bi ism when we read this word. What do we say? Bism, right? بكلمة منه بكلمة منه اسمه المسيح or بكلمة منه اسمه المسيح منه اسمه المسيح, right? So you drop Hamzat wasl whenever you connect it with any letter before it. Now, then why they wrote it this way, since it is this way? Why they wrote it like this, without Hamzat al-Wasl? Even though it is originally like this. Why?
Because you're connecting the Hamzatul wasl.
Because we write it a lot. Because we write it a lot. They write it a lot, Bismillah. Always they write Bismillah, Bismillah. So they just save some ink, okay? Just to drop Hamzat al-Wasl. So this is how they agreed to write it, okay? Only in this word, with the word ism. But if you see the word, for example, Bismika Allahum, for example, then they put it. So the word Bismika, in your name, O Allah, for example, they write it. Look how they write it like this. So they keep Hamzat al-Wasl. So only with this word, ism. Okay? Clear?
Yeah.
Mash. Bismillah. So Bismillah means what literally? Bismillah means what literally?
In the name of Allah.
In the name of Allah, or with the name of Allah. Okay. In the name of Allah what?
The most gracious.
With the name of Allah what? The most great. Okay, the most gracious, the most merciful, the most loving, the most caring. Okay, what?
I conduct my affairs.
Ah.
I put my trust.
So there's something that is implied. Because Bismillah means what? Means in the name of Allah. This word Bism is what is it in I'rab, ya Sheikh? The ba is?
It's a preposition.
Harf jar. Ism is ism majroor. The word ism is ism majroor. So وعلامة جره الكسرة, right? Now when we have jar and majroor, these preposition and this prepositional phrase means the preposition and the noun after it. What do we call them? Jar wa majroor. What do we call it? Jar wa majroor. Jarun wa majroor. The jar wa majroor in Arabic always they have to be connected to something. What does that mean? For example, even in English, in order for the prepositional phrase to give a full meaning, it has to be connected with something. Whether in Arabic or in English. Example, I say, on the table. خلاص والحمد لله رب العالمين. My sentence is over. On the table. What on the table? Right away you say, what on the table? Does it make sense? It's not a sentence. It is what? Phrase, right? So, in the table, you should put something. You say, for example, my cell phone is on the table. Or you say, I sit on the table, for example. Right? So, as you see, I put a verb, I sit on the table. Or I put a noun, my phone is on the table. Right? Same thing in Arabic. Bismillah, in the name of Allah. What? In the name of Allah, what? I start in the name of Allah. I start my recitation in the name of Allah. I start my poem in the name of Allah. With the name of Allah. Seeking the help or the blessings of the name of Allah. If you want to get the exact meaning or the literal meaning, I start my work seeking the blessings of the name of Allah. That's the full meaning. Okay? This is what I want you to write when you write Bismillah. When you make the slides. Is this clear? So when you make ta'liq, we call it ta'liq. Jar majroor, they have to have ta'liq. So you say jar majroor muta'alliqan. They are connected or based on or connected to something, either a verb or a noun. In order to give full meaning, this phrase, this prepositional phrase, you have to connect it with what? Either a verb or
No.
a noun. Either a verb or a noun, right? So here, what did the scholar imply or estimate? What's the verb they estimate? They say abtadi'u. It means I start with the name of Allah. That's a verb or a noun? Verb. If you want to use the noun, can you use a noun? You can use a noun. So you can say then ibtida'i. My beginning is with the name of Allah. Seeking the blessings of Allah's name. Is this clear? Difficult? 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 A little bit? Okay. So, this is what Bismi mean. Okay? Bismillah. Bismillah, as I mentioned, you can see here on the screen. In Arabic, the Arabic sentence is either nominal or verbal. This is basic, you have to learn it. Why? Because if you remember in the waqf section, we needed this information. Do you remember? This is jumla ismiya, this is jumla fi'liya. Are the main components of the sentence are there? If they are there, then this is waqf, insufficient waqf or incomplete waqf or whatever. So we need this information, okay? So in Arabic we have two types of sentences. We have nominal and we have verbal. Nominal means it starts with what? Noun or pronoun, as you can see. Noun or pronoun. Verbal, the verbal sentence, it starts with what? It starts with a verb, right? It starts with a verb. So we either say, I begin with the name of Allah. Is this verbal or nominal, Ya Ibrahim? I begin with the name of Allah. Verbal. Why verbal? Because I begin. I begin, this is verb, right? I begin, abda'u, abtadi'u. But if I say my beginning is with the name of Allah, then that is what? Nominal, because you're starting with a noun, which is the word my beginning, which means ibtida'i, right? Okay. As you mentioned, in the word bism, is this the word bism? Is it a nominal sentence or verbal sentence? I'm tricking you, obviously.
Verbal.
Huh?
Verbal.
Huh? None. It's not a sentence.
But it can be it can be a sentence.
It's not a sentence by itself, right? Bism is not a sentence by itself.
It's a phrase.
This is why it's a phrase. It's not a sentence. This is why we have to imply something. Okay? We have to imply something. Now, if you imply a verb, then it will be a verbal sentence like abtadi'u bismillah. And if you imply a noun, then it will be a nominal sentence. Example, ibtida'i bismillah. Clear? Okay. Since here we have neither of them, means we don't have a verb nor a noun, then we should assume. You have a better word? Assume or imply, right? Which word is better?
They're both. That's fine.
Both fine? Okay, let's add another word so that also it.
No,
Assume or imply.
That's good. Assume is good. Or
Assume? Okay,
yeah,
assume. Let's give it assume. Mash. Don't be sad. Assume having a verb or a noun. So it means I begin with the name of Allah or my beginning is with the name of Allah.
You should assume it has a verb or a noun if you want to practice it.
Yeah. We should assume have.
It has. Or
We should assume that there is.
yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
A verb or a noun. Do we need to say which is implied or no? خلاص.
No.
It doesn't assume it fulfills the meaning. Okay, good. Now, why he started with the name of Allah? Because it's sunnah. It's sunnah to start any good, important thing with the name of Allah. Or to be more general, in order to include all of the narrations of the hadith, always when you start something good, you should start with remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether saying Bismillah or saying Alhamdulillah, or any form of dhikr that reminds you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you want to seek Allah's blessings in the beginning of your work. So, what's the hadith that tells us this? Hadith narrated by Imam An-Nawawi in his Adhkar, and of course it's mentioned in so many hadith books, Imam Musnad, Imam Ahmad, Sahih Ibn Hibban, Abu Dawud, etc. What does the hadith say? Kullu amrin, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you write the hadith, I guarantee, inshaAllah, from now until we finish Aljazariyya, at least you will hear from me at least 100 ahadith, at least, maybe 200. If you write, if you catch them and write them and number them, you will see. Okay? So try not to lose. Try not to come here just with the intention of just learning the poem. Try to come to learn. Whatever knowledge you learn, you write, right? As Imam Shafi'i said, now we're coming to Imam Shafi'i, he has a nice statement here. What does he say? Remember that verses of poetry I told you about writing? Al-ilmu saydun, knowledge is like the thing that you hunt. What is it called?
Oh yeah, I am.
Hunted thing, what do you call it?
The prey.
Prey?
Yeah.
After you hunt it, what is it called?
Food.
Huh? No, not food. There is the name for it. Okay. So knowledge is a gain, I think. Gain is a good word, right? Gain. You gained it, right? You gained this thing, right? Right? Game?
No.
Quarry, does a quarry work?
I don't know.
Okay, gain means you gained something, right? Okay, you caught it, you got it. Al-ilmu saydun wal-kitabatu qayduhu. And writing it is the shackles of this gain, right? Al-ilmu saydun wal-kitabatu qayduhu. قيد صيودك بالحبال الواثقة. قيد صيودك بالحبال الواثقة. Shackle or connect or fasten the things that you got with strong ropes. Then he said, فَمِنَ الْحَمَاقَةِ أَن تَصِيدَ غَزَالَةً وَتَتْرُكَهَا بَيْنَ الْخَلَائِقِ طَالِقًا. He said, it's foolish to hunt a deer, then you let it go.
I am.
Right? العلم صيد والكتابة قيده. قيد صيودك بالحبال الواثقة. فمن الحماقة أن تصيد غزالة وتتركها بين الخلائق طالقة. Okay? So, what does he say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? كل أمر ذي بال. Imam Nawawi mentioned that this is an authentic hadith in all of its narrations. We have many narrations for this hadith. I just quoted two for you. Every matter, كل أمر ذي بال لا يبدأ فيه ببسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فهو أقطع. In another narration, كل أمر ذي بال لا يبدأ فيه بالحمد لله or بالحمد لله, both أقطع. Means every important matter that you don't start with the name of Allah, then it is أقطع. Means it is incomplete in its blessings. Means it is lacking the blessings. Every matter which is important that you start without mentioning the name of Allah, then you have deprived yourself from blessing in this action or this statement or this book or whatever you're doing. So you start with Bismillah or Alhamdulillah. So at least either Bismillah or Alhamdulillah or any form of dhikr. Imam Shafi'i radiallahu anhu, our great Imam of Ahl Sunnah, he says, I love, means it's mustahab. I love that the person, before he starts his khutbah or any matter that he needs, with praising Allah, thanking Allah, and making salah for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Praising Allah and making salawat for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And that's the sunnah. In dua, look at the adhkar when you enter the house, when you enter the masjid, always with the dhikr it starts with praising Allah and salah ala Rasulillah. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. Then you say what you want. Dua. If you don't make praise Allah and salah for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in your dua, it will not be raised as in the authentic hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba as well. Okay, so that's Bismillah. That's all that is about the word Bismillah, right? Okay. And this is why, as we mentioned, either Bismillah or Alhamdulillah. So he said Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Then also when he started, what does he start with? يقول راجي عفو رب سامعي محمد بن الجزري الشافعي what? الحمد لله وصلى الله على نبيه ومصطفاه صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد وآله وصحبه ومقرئ القرآن مع محبه. Right? Okay. That's Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So we mentioned this, the importance of this science, makharij, tafkhim, tarqiq. Okay, making it in poems to make it easier. We mentioned all that. Okay. This poem, Aljazariyya, before we continue Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, is of the few book that has been transmitted to us also through chains, just like the Quran. In the Quran you have ijazah, right? Also in the science of hadith we have ijazah for many or all of the hadith books. Also in Nahu, also in Arabic, also in the Jazariyya we have ijazah also. You understand the concept of ijazah? It's not only Quran, no. For example, Sheikh Ayman Suwaid, may Allah reward him, and I'm basing this course mainly on his explanation of Al-Jazariyya, that he relies on the explanation of Shaykh al-Islam Zakaria al-Ansari rahimahullah from his explanation of Al-Jazariyya. So Shaykh Ayman depends on the explanation of Shaykh al-Islam Zakaria al-Ansari, which is called Daqa'iq al-Muhkama fi Sharh al-Muqaddimah. And also I will depend on the explanation of Mullah Ali al-Qari, the great Hanafi scholar, Hanafi Naqshbandi scholar, also from his Al-Minah al-Fikriyya in explaining the Jazariyya, and other sources. But my main source is the explanation of Shaykh Ayman, which is based on what? The explanation of Shaykh al-Islam Zakaria al-Ansari. Shaykh al-Islam Zakaria al-Ansari is one of the greatest scholars of Islam. He was among the few ones who were given the title of Shaykh al-Islam. Shaykh al-Islam. He lived 100 years, and you find him almost in every ijazah of the 10 qira'at, you find him there. In the Shafi'i fiqh, he is like a great scholar, like Imam al-Nawawi. His books are of the main sources of the Shafi'i fiqh, and in Arabic and in qira'at and in aqidah, etc. This is why he's called Shaykh al-Islam. Okay. So Al-Jazariyya is one of the few books that we are narrating it, or we have many people who narrate it back to the author. So they memorized it, they read it to their sheikh to their sheikh, back to Imam Ibn al-Jazari. This is amazing. This is something you don't find in any other religion, right? So since 833 of the Hijrah until now, alhamdulillah, it is being transmitted, and inshallah you will take ijazah also in Jazariyya when you read it by heart. Now, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we said Bismillah, it means in the name of Allah. Now, the word Allah, very quickly, the word Allah means, or it is what? A proper noun. The proper noun of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to most scholars. It is his main noun. According to some others, it's Al-Ism al-A'zam. Al-Ism al-A'zam, the greatest name. The greatest name with which when you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with it, Allah will respond to you. Now, is this word Allah, does it have a root? Or it is just like this? So in Arabic, we have the words are two types. Words that are called jamid and words that are called mushtaq. Mushtaq means it has a root. For example, kitab. Kitab. Does kitab jamid or mushtaq? Does it have a root? It has a root. What's the root? Kataba. That's the root. From the root kataba, you take the word katib, which means writer, kitab, which means book, kitabatun, which means writing, maktub, which means written, kutub, which means books, etc. Kutiba, which means was written, etc. Now, jamid means it doesn't have a root. It's like this. Okay? So the scholars differed about this word, the word Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of them, they said it's derived from the word aliha, which means that he adored, to adore someone, to love someone so much, to worship someone so much, to resort to someone so much. All these meanings can be applied. Or it is just the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, if you want more details, you can review tafsir class on YouTube. In explaining Al-Fatiha and explaining Ayat Kursi, I commented in almost 2 hours on the word Allah. Okay, that's the word Allah. So we have to learn at least one sentence. We say this is alam. Alam means a proper noun. Alam ala dhati al-wajibati al-wujud. What does that mean? Means this is the proper noun of the being whose existence is necessary. Everyone has to know this sentence about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The word Allah is alam, means the proper noun. Of who? Of the being, means of the essence, of the person. We should not say person, but I'm explaining to you. We say of the being or of the essence whose existence is necessary. Means it's impossible that Allah does not exist. Everything besides Allah, His existence is possible. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only He existed and He has always existed, if He did not create anything, is that possible? Of course. If He just wanted to be by Himself subhanahu wa ta'ala, not create anything, neither people, nor animals, nor universe, nothing, could He do that? Is that possible? Of course. He's the creator.
After He destroys everything, He'll be by Himself.
Huh?
As after He destroys everything, after the day.
Yeah, and He will do this, subhanahu wa ta'ala, right?
Yeah.
But He could have, if He wanted from the beginning, not to create anything, right? So, this is why we say everything besides Allah is called mumkinul wujud. This is in the science of aqidah and ilm al-kalam. Everything besides Allah, we call it mumkinul wujud. Possible to exist. But there are things that are impossible. Like what? Like that Allah has a partner. That's mustahil. That's impossible. Is this clear? Okay. We'll not go farther because this is aqidah topic. Okay? So, who can tell me in one sentence what we mentioned about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It's the proper noun of the being or the essence whose existence is wajib, necessary. Means He absolutely exists. It doesn't logically and rationally, it's impossible that He doesn't exist, right? How do you know this? Then, well, you need to attend the Aqidah 101 to learn the proofs, right? Isa, did we learn some of the proofs there? We learned some of the proofs in the summer program. Okay, that's the definition. We add one more sentence. If you know this sentence, it will be, inshallah, enough and very comprehensive sentence about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is what? That this essence or this being means Allah, He has all perfection qualities and He is free from all imperfection qualities. If you know this sentence, khalas, you know everything. You know Allah doesn't need a place to be in. You know Allah doesn't need food to eat, doesn't need a wife, doesn't need the children, doesn't need, etc. Is this clear? And you know Allah is all seeing, all hearing, all powerful, all, right? So every kamal, every perfection, Allah has it. Every imperfection, Allah is free from it. That's the general rule you need to know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillah ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahman means what? Rahman from what? Who knows the root word? The root word for Rahman? Rahima. Rahima, to show mercy. To show mercy. Now the subject or the doer should be, anyone knows?
Rahim.
Rahim. Very good. Rahim. Rahim. Rahim, this is the symbol doer. Rahim. For example, kataba, katib. Kataba, he wrote. Katib, writer. Qara'a, he read. Qari, reader. Rahima, he showed mercy. Rahim, the one who shows mercy. Now, when you say Rahman, that's called sighat mubalagha, which means a form of intensiveness. Means he doesn't only show mercy, he shows a lot of mercy. He is vast in his mercy. Tamam? He's great in his mercy. That's Rahman. Rahim. Also, pay attention here. This is, of course, again, tafsir. If you want more details, this is like half an hour or more topic. So you can review Surah Al-Fatiha as tafsir. Rahman, it's the wazn or the form, the scale of this word is fa'lan. Like ghadban. Ghadban means angry, but it's not ghadib, ghadban. So this like atshan, thirsty. But who can tell me something about these sifat? Thirsty, angry, hungry, jaw'an, hungry. Who can tell me something common? Hungry, thirsty, angry.
On at the end.
Huh?
On at the end.
Other than this,
They're always showing
Abstract.
essence of.
are these attributes, are they persistent? Is there like someone who's always thirsty? Or they're temporary? Temporary. So Rahman, based on this understanding, Rahman, he shows mercy to all of the creation in this world, but in the hereafter only to the believers. Got it? Got it? So his mercy to the non-believers is temporary, only in this world. Does he show mercy to the non-believers? Of course. Who gives the non-believers food? Sun, moon, rain, fruits, vegetables. So he's Rahman, he's with all of creation. Believers, non-believers, he's Rahman. But Rahim, only to the believers. وَكَانَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَحْمَانًا. No, وَكَانَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَحِيمًا. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Rahim, consistent in his mercy. He is Rahim only in this world with the believers? No. Also in the next world. That's Rahman and Rahim, very briefly. So Rahman, you can say, the entirely merciful and loving to the believers and non-believers. And Rahim is the specially merciful to the believers and consistently merciful to the believers in this world and in the next world. That's Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Then he starts with the first line. First line, what does he say? So another thing, now I'm not going to leave it optional to memorize it. You have to memorize it. Why? Because every class will do like one line or two lines. So just memorize it with us, okay, so that it will be easy for you. We'll just get familiar with the first line and we'll be done, inshallah. Then next time since we made all these introductions, we'll go right away to the first line. And we'll go a little bit faster. Inshallah. What does he say, rahimahullah? يقول راجي عفو رب سامعي محمد بن الجزري الشافعي. يلا. يقول راجي عفو رب سامعي.
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 محمد بن الجزري الشافعي.
محمد بن الجزري الشافعي.
When you get used to reading Arabic other than the Quran, also this improves your recitation of the Quran, especially when you do it fast. This improves your makharij, improves your fluency in speaking. يقول راجي عفو رب سامعي.
يقول راجي عفو رب سامعي.
محمد بن الجزري الشافعي.
محمد بن الجزري الشافعي.
الحمد لله وصلى الله
الحمد لله وصلى الله
على نبيه ومصطفى
على نبيه ومصطفى.
صلى الله عليه وسلم. Inshallah, we'll continue next time. Any question about anything we mentioned today? Wait a minute. Any question about anything we mentioned? Are we going fast or slow? Complicated? Simple? Okay. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. يلا turn it off يا حبيبي.